I might have it here somewhere.
Just laying around, maybe.
Just laying around.
That's so cool.
We're joined now by Arizona State running back Cam Skattebo. Skat, we appreciate you taking the time today. Obviously, you are a very, very busy man these days.
Yeah, I mean, I got the calendar booked for sure. So thanks for having me, you guys.
Of course, man. Of course. Look, the one thing that I think over the last 24, 48 hours, everybody in the Arizona State community want to talk about is the fact that you were snubbed, robbed, hosed, whatever word you want to use, for the Heisman finalists. Just what was your immediate reaction to seeing that, especially after the season that you've had and the performance you had in that Big 12 championship game?
I wasn't too upset. You know, it obviously bothered me a little bit, but the four guys that are going are great players, and I would not want to take anything away from those guys. They deserve to be there, and just having the opportunity to be in that conversation was huge. Just because that's never even really been a dream of mine. I never thought I'd be in that situation, so it's awesome to be able to even be in the conversation.
And a bunch of fans, even non-ASU fans, but college football fans, were also showing their support from you. And they're obviously putting you in this elite tier as far as running backs and players in the country go. And of course, that comes also today. You're named first team All-American by CBS Sports. Only 2 running backs in the country get that honor. Has that all sunk in with you yet? Like, that's a really big deal.
Yeah, I got a text from Ben Coleman this morning saying, I woke up being able to say my running back's a first team All American. So that was pretty cool to get a text from him, being able to make those guys happy and understand what they've done for me to put me in that situation. So that's pretty cool. But it's all been sinking in for sure. But I've been focused on the end goal, and we're not done yet, and we're still going. So I'm gonna keep focusing on football and not really the ins and outs of all of it outside of playing and practicing.
I want to get to some of the positive stuff, and we will, but it just feels like every single day there's somebody in national media, there's somebody somewhere that has something negative to say about you guys. ESPN the other day put out a full list of the college football playoff teams in the history of the college football playoff, and they had this year's Arizona State team ranked dead last, the worst quote-unquote college football playoff team that has ever made the playoff. Obviously, everybody wants to talk about you guys going from 16th in the preseason media poll to first, and they keep giving you guys these bulletin board material. Like, I'm just curious, like, do you think they're ever going to learn, like, at any point that they just keep doing this? They hand deliver you guys motivation and chips on your shoulder?
I mean, I don't think they think of it that way. That they see a team that went 3-9 2 years in a row, and then somehow get to the playoffs on 11-2. But we're a team that's going to fight and continue to prove people wrong, because being picked dead last in the Big 12 and then finishing out on top, if that doesn't show you something, then I don't know what else is going to show you that we're a good football team and we can compete at the highest level. And we're going to continue to prove people wrong and just keep fighting until the end.
Yeah, obviously, people who've been watching this show for a while, been keeping track with you, like, they know what this team is about. But that's been very, like, hyper local because, as you both have mentioned, national media is kind of slow to catching up. So we have a lot of new eyes on this interview right now. Cam, can you, in like just a couple sentences, sum up who this Arizona State football team is at its core?
I mean, I would start with the team loves each other. Everybody on the team cares about one another. As you can see, there's people going into the portal but still want to play for this football team, because they understand what it means to the team and what they mean to the team, even though they don't play or they do play. It just shows you that these guys want to be here. There's just money out there that are chasing people, and and the fact that guys care to be here so much, to just finish this season off and understand what they're going to be a part of. It's huge because everyone loves each other, everyone likes to fight for each other, and we love the game of football, and that's what this team's all about, is playing for each other and understanding what it takes to win, and everybody pushes each other and grinds together, and it's all paying off.
Obviously, you've had a pretty remarkable season, one that definitely is going to go in the history books for Arizona State, for the Big 12, nationally, et cetera. But you obviously have been in college football for quite some time, Sac State before Arizona State. And there are some young bucks on this team. Your starting quarterback, Sam Levitt, being one of them, who has had himself a pretty remarkable season. Feels like he's grown every single week. And then obviously people are going to talk about the performance that you had in the Big 12 title game. Sam also had a really, really solid game, his first championship at this level. Just how have you seen Sam grow as a leader and as a quarterback from when he first arrived on campus to right now?
If you listen to Sam talk, it's actually kind of funny because the first 3 or 4 months, Sam didn't like anybody, and no one liked Sam. He was a guy that came in and was not comfortable at all. But he continued to push people, even though he didn't like people. He knew what he could be, and nobody really believed him because he's this 19-year-old kid coming into college, transferred from Michigan State. We didn't really know what he was about, and then I think towards fall camp, people started understanding like, oh my gosh, this kid is good. And during summer workouts and stuff, he started to get a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more confident. And ever since then, everybody started to like him. Everyone started to buy in. And I mean, as you can tell, he's a hell of a player. You see me repost today. That kid's gonna win a Heisman in his next 3 years at Arizona State. He is a absolute star, and people are going to find out here soon.
Okay, obviously you ended on a high note. I got to revisit what you said at first. It's not often that you hear somebody say like, yeah, when somebody came in, like the mesh wasn't there at first, and it felt like specifically with this team and the way that Kenny and company attacked the portal, it kind of felt like almost a given that wouldn't happen. So what was it that like made it change? It was just getting to know Sam and him getting more comfortable, or was there like kind of a shift for the team or for the personality?
Yeah, it's like that new person that comes into your life that tries to act like someone that's on top of the world. He was that guy, but nobody understood that the reason he was like that is because of how good he is and the way he understood his game. Nobody understood that until they started seeing him play. And now when we look back at it, it's like we didn't really hate the guy. We didn't dislike him. We just looked at him differently because of how high his confidence level was, and the way he pushed people. And nobody had respect for him because they didn't know who he was. I wouldn't say we hated him. It was just a not understanding what type of player he was and what he was coming in to try to do. And now that he's a Big 12 champion, I give all credit to him because he's changed the program, if not more, just as much as I did, because the confidence he brings to the team and the energy he brings to the locker room every day and the meeting rooms and to practice. That he's just like Coach Dillingham. He's a juice ball, man. He keeps the energy high.
So you mentioned that fall camp is kind of when people started seeing on the team what Sam Levitt could do. But it doesn't really sink in until you get into a game. Is there a moment early in the season where you sat back and you're like, oh, this guy is legit?
Well, I mean, I started noticing in the summer. Obviously, I got a little bit closer to him as he started getting more comfortable. We would have more conversations and stuff. And then once fall camp came around, we started. Last year when I was supposed to kick the ball against USC, um, and I ended up throwing it to Elijah Badger. That was one of those moments, where I think of those on my own. And there's just something about him that kind of clicked between us. Is like we would run a run play, and then like we would talk about it and like, hey, if you got hit by the end, he would be like, pitch it back to me, and I'll run around the edge and just keep going. So it's just like those things pop into our heads, and we're like, okay, we might be like almost the same player, just in a different position. And we talk about that all the time. These crazy plays that can happen, and you might see something crazy happen in the next few weeks, but I doubt it because of how good of our football team is, and we probably won't need it. But um, he's just that player that I click with a lot, just in those regards of understanding the game and understanding what we can make happen if it's not there.
You said you guys might be the same player at different positions. In that Big 12 title game, you did you did play a little quarterback for a second. I think everybody in that stadium, every Arizona State fan, was just in absolute awe of the play on the goal line. I believe it was first half. I believe you guys were in the wild scat package, and then you play kind of broke up, and then you just heaved it. No intentional grounding, no nothing. Just what was kind of going through your head in that play? Just a heads up play to throw it away.
So that actually, the similar thing happened in high school. We ran a double reverse in high school, and the second reverse guy got blown up in the backfield. And I was like, I can't let this happen. So I kept running backwards, trying to make something happen. And obviously, I'm too slow to get out of those situations. Like, there's DNs coming from each side. It's just not my movement back there. And in high school, I actually just chucked the ball to my quarterback downfield because he was kind of in the same position Sam was, and he ended up coming out with it, broke 3 tackles and scored a touchdown to like go up in the semifinals before the state game. But back to that moment, it was like I was running backwards, and I think the first thing that went through my mind was all my linemen are coming back towards me. Um, that was the first initial thing. Like, if I do throw the ball here, it won't be a illegal man downfield because all the linemen are in front of me, running back, trying to help me. And then second is when I threw the ball, I was expecting Sam to be further down the field, but he was actually coming back to block for me to try to get around the corner. And luckily, we had a tight end down there that was near the ball. But I knew I was going to get it back to the line of scrimmage. It was just a matter of who was going to be there. And I thought Sam was going to be there, but he was trying to make something work for me. So,
Man, unbelievable. We were sitting there.
Yeah.
We were sitting there in the press box like, what's happening right now? And then you just heaved it, no intentional grounding. Pretty sure the Iowa State sideline went crazy. They were trying to get an intentional grounding or something, and then you guys ended up punching it in. Just wild.
So maybe not
yeah,
the most. Go ahead.
I don't think Coach Arroyo has a 2nd and 35 from or second and goal from the 35 call. So, I had to get rid of that one somehow.
You know what? Honestly, if anybody might have a 2nd and goal from the 35
Yeah.
call, it would be Coach Arroyo.
He's got a 60-yard shot
true.
on 4th and 1.
And let's touch on him a little bit because obviously Kenny gets a ton of credit and rightfully so as he is kind of the head of the snake. But Marcus Arroyo is just as much of a part of Arizona State's success, especially on offense. And today he was announced as a finalist for the Broyles Award, which is given to the top assistant coach in college football, the only offensive coordinator to be picked for that, essentially being called the top offensive coordinator in the country. I'm assuming you agree with that sentiment.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, halfway through that Big 12 game, I took the mic off of Coach Iguano's head, and I was like, dude, keep cooking. Like, I put the mic on, and I was like, just keep cooking. And, it was a blessing for us to have short field position, with the defense getting 3 turnovers in the same exact position every single drive. That was huge for us. But, I mean, he doesn't get enough credit behind the scenes. He works his tail off to make sure that we're in a successful spot. And, like I said, me and Sam were on such the same page. We worked together back in the backfield so well. Him and Coach Dillingham are like twins. They walk around the facility, and they bring that same energy. They think the same when it comes to football. When Coach Dillingham's thinking something about an offensive player doing something, Coach Arroyo explains it before Dillingham even tells him he wants to do it like that. So it just shows how much they understand football and the position they put themselves in to be successful in the game of football.
Well, obviously, get back to football, but I think this is obviously an important time right now for pretty much every program in college football with the transfer portal window opening. You obviously being familiar with that, having transferred from Sac State to Arizona State. Just what would your message be to guys in the portal looking for their next home and potentially why they should come to Arizona State?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing is find somewhere that you're comfortable with, but you're not in the stable mindset of you've made it. And I found somewhere where I was comfortable with, and that coaches believed in me. Coming from such a small town and a small little FCS school, but I mean, you just got to keep grinding, and you never know what can happen. If as long as you believe in yourself and you understand what your capabilities are, then the sky's the limit. So I just kept pushing, and I understood where I could be at. I understood the level I can play at. I understand the level I can play at, and I'm just gonna keep going and keep pushing. And that's what my message to everybody is. Just keep grinding, because as long as you understand what you're capable of, it's gonna keep pursuing and coming to life.
So it's hard in modern college athletics to look ahead 3, 4, 5 years because there's so much change. But there are certain programs and certain sports that are constants. No matter what is going on, no matter what the rules are, they're still good. A lot of people are looking at Arizona State this year as maybe a lucky team, a team that just kind of backed their way into the success. Obviously, you should see it differently. We see it differently because we've seen it up close. This is a program that can maintain the success. Do you agree with that as far as the future of college football goes?
Yeah, 100%. As long as they have these coaches that are in the rooms that they're in right now, I think they could be successful for a long time. And Coach Dillingham's going to keep bringing in kids that love football and that love to win. And the fact that he can do that and that he has the resources and tools to help him do that, it's just going to keep growing from here. And the more you win, like you said, the more you win, the more expensive the players get. But the more expensive players get, the more donors donate, and they want to see the team be successful. So as long as we can keep getting support and having players come in that want to be here and love football for football and not just the money, it's going to be a success story for sure.
Look, we have a couple clips because me and a former co-host of mine, I don't know if you remember, a couple years back when you first transferred to Arizona State, we had you on this show, just why you chose ASU, the chip on your shoulder at that time. So I just kind of want to revisit some of those clips and get your reaction. Now, obviously, 2 years and change later, the program looks entirely different. Your success looks entirely different, especially on a national scale. But when you first got to ASU, this is what you had to say, just in terms of Arizona State feeling like home.
Once I got out there, it felt like home. It just felt like that was the spot that was made for me. As soon as I got to Arizona and I got my hotel, and then I got out to go out and explore the area and everything, it just felt right. I didn't have that homesickness. I didn't feel like I was gone. And only being about 10 hours away from my family, on a drive and an hour and 20-minute flight, I'll be able to see them often. So I'm not too worried, and I do feel like I'm going to another home, and it's not of course it's not Sacramento where I'm from, and I'm not going to have the Sacramento support, but I mean, through the last couple of days, I've had the Arizona support, and I feel like all those people know me already, and they all appreciate what I've done in the past. And with all those guys behind me and all those fans behind me already, it does feel like home already. So I don't know how those other guys feel, but I do feel like I'm coming into a spot that feels like home.
Home, man. That was the sentiment from the start. Would you say 2 years later, now with the spot that you're in, where this program is at, and at least in terms of the love that you've been receiving in the Valley, that you made the right choice, that this is your second home?
Yeah, that made me a little emotional, because the support that comes from all that is awesome, and I'm blessed to be here for sure.
Look, another big part of, when we had you on so long ago, not a lot of people were familiar with your game. So we got the chance to ask you just who you model your game after. And ironically enough, you had said Christian McCaffrey at that point. This past season, you have obviously accomplished something that hasn't been done since Christian McCaffrey. So I do want to take another look back just at who you model your game after. This is what you had to say 2 years ago.
With everything I do in the pass blocking, receiving, and rushing, I'm not quite as fast as him, but Christian McCaffrey was a big part of my high school days, watching his film, trying to model his game mostly. But so I have two. There's Christian McCaffrey is what I looked up to very, very highly when he was in college and in the NFL, his early days in the NFL, and even now. But also another guy is Mike Allslot. He was a guy that, punished people, didn't hold up, kept pushing, kept his legs going, and he was just hard to bring down. A lot of people understood that, but he wasn't the shiftiest, he wasn't the fastest. So seeing him do that kind of was a little bit of I can do that at the next level too. So I had two guys, but Christian with everything he does is definitely one of the higher ends of who I modeled my game after.
I'll tell you what, man, 20 years from now, if you want to analyze people, I think you had a pretty good read on yourself, if I'm being completely honest. I think you broke down your game pretty accurately.
Yeah, 100%, man. I believe in what I got, and I believe in what I can do. And it's gonna stay that way until I'm done doing it.
You predicted it, man. I'm gonna be honest. Like when you first got here, we had seen the tape, what you were able to accomplish at Sacramento State, but the two names that you threw out there, Christian McCaffrey and then Allstott, like one dude, like you said, is just an absolute punisher, and then McCaffrey is obviously a workhorse, do it all kind of back. So everyone hearing that for the first time is like, this kid from Sac State thinks he's about to be the greatest running back of all time. And fast forward 2 years later, and people at Arizona State are like, this dude just might be the greatest running back that's ever been on the field at Arizona State, man. Look, obviously with the season that you have you had the luxury of hearing from guys at the next level, or just, anyone that really does admire what you do, offer you words of advice or anything?
Yeah, I actually for the first time last week at the championship game, I met Benjamin. And he looked at me and he was like, "Go crush the records, man. Go take them over." And that was something that was huge because he's a great player in the ASU rankings, and it's something that the guys at the high level, they've made it to the NFL. They're there. They don't care what they did in college. They're trying to be successful and in the NFL and make their name in the NFL. And it just shows that they see these young guys coming in and these guys in college, and they just want to support. And Christian McCaffrey texted me last year, and he just showing his support, man. And you understand, like, those guys aren't out to like try to downgrade anybody, and they look up to some guys just as much as some guys look up to them, and it's awesome to just be a part of these things.
Definitely, man. Well, I highly anticipate here in April, I believe that draft is. You will definitely be at that next level, and hopefully offering the same words of encouragement to whoever is playing running back at Arizona State down the line. But I think a theme of this season, a theme of your career at the college level, has been a chip on your shoulder, right? People disrespecting you, people saying that you are an under the radar guy when you've been putting up crazy, crazy numbers. But this is not a new thing, right? This is something that you've been dealing with for really your entire life. And even 2 years ago, this was a chip that you had on your shoulder then.
At high school, when I didn't get recruited, I definitely had a chip on my shoulder. And then going into college and being able to do what I did at SAC was a big part for me, showing that I can do what I can do at any level. But that was definitely not a Power Five school, and it wasn't the Power Five like power that comes across the other side of the ball. Mm-hmm. And playing defense against other teams that's definitely a difference. So definitely coming into Arizona, I definitely feel like I have a chip on my shoulder and that I need to prove to people that I can play even at the higher level. My goal at the end is go to the NFL. I mean, if moving up to the Power 5 conferences, going to the Pac-12 shows people that I can do it at the highest level, then that's what I'm going to do, and that's my plan. So I definitely have a chip on my shoulder for coming into Arizona and playing in the Pac-12.
You accomplished that, man. Like, I think, again, being in that Heisman conversation, and again, everybody in the state of Arizona is calling you the Valley's Heisman, because that's, I think, absolutely what you've been for this team, for this program, for this state, right? Kenny, when he first got here, said activate the Valley. And I think between you, between Marcus, between Sam, Tyson, all these guys, I think it's slowly starting to take that chip right off the shoulder next year. Like, this isn't going to be a team that's underrated. This isn't going to be a team that's unranked going into next season. And that all starts with you. Just how does that make you feel, knowing that not only did you achieve and you still have so much left to do in terms of like success at this level, but you quite literally were a part of an entire changing of the guard at Arizona State?
Yeah, we'll see in the future how it holds together, but it was a blessing to be able to change, the vision in people's eyes and what the school can be, and just being in that situation and being part of that is going to also change the way I think about things and understand what I mean in people's lives. So it's awesome to be, in this situation, and I feel blessed every day to be here.
The sentimental stuff is awesome, but I'm going to be that guy. Do you have your Big 12 MVP championship belt with you? Because that was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life, bar none, hands down.
I might have it here somewhere.
Just laying around, maybe.
Just laying around.
That's so cool.
I might have it here somewhere, man.
How did that feel in the moment? Oh yeah, lift it up. Look at that. How did that feel in the moment? You're on the stage, confetti dropping at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, and you are the MVP of that game, of a Big 12 champion, and you're hoisting a belt above your head. To me, that feels like a top one moment in a lifetime.
Yeah, 100%. There's nothing that has beat it since. Obviously the state championship was awesome, but there's never been something that has outweighed that yet, and that'll be a remembrance of my life for the rest of my life for sure.
I think there's going to be one moment at the end of this season that maybe tops it. It's going to be hoisting that national championship trophy at the end of the season back in Atlanta. I think that might top it. What do you think?
That would be awesome. We'll see.
Oh man, look, there is one more clip that I want to play from a couple years back. We asked you at the time just your message to Arizona State fans, and I don't think that we quite fully understood it, but you somehow kind of predicted the future to what this season would kind of entail. This is what you had to say in terms of your message to ASU fans.
I'm ready to come play some football. I'm trying to. Me as a player, I want to be successful, but for anything, I want to make sure the team wins, and I want to win a Pac-12 championship. And I mean, we got a 12-man playoff bracket coming, so I want to win a national championship. That's my plan. So it's people want to say it's far out of the view, but I think it's possible. So
I mean, come on, dude. May not be Pac-12 champs, but you're Big 12 champs and that 12-team playoff. I mean, you're right in the thick of it, man.
Yeah, we're going to keep grinding, man. We're going to go day by day, game by game, and we'll see how this all works out.
Look, I am curious. We asked you then, and you gave us that answer. Just with this team in the college football playoff, they're going to be playing games, at least a game in January. What is your current message to Arizona State fans and really the Valley?
Shoot, I don't got much to say other than thank you. The support that they've given me has been awesome, and me and my family, and it's been great ride.
The Valley's Heisman, Cam Skattebo. Obviously, we look forward to seeing you in Atlanta for that Peach Bowl, whether it's Clemson, whether it's Texas. We appreciate you taking the time today, man.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Forks up.